Hey everyone, and welcome to your Java tutorial on input and output. So you may notice that this development environment looks a little bit different than the one you might be looking at right now. Um, this is the Visual Studio Code environment. It is, um, I chose to use this because it's a little bit easier to display code using Visual Studio Code versus something like Codiva. I have a little bit more control over what you see and how you see it in Visual Studio Code. So that's why I've chosen to use this. Um, and also what I'd like to also make a quick disclaimer that we're going to be going over basic input and output in this video. There's a lot more to input and output streams and all kinds of things that we won't be covering in this video. This is just going to be covering the basic printing and inputting of text. All right, so let's talk about this line here. This is a line we've seen before, and we've discussed it a little bit previously, but I'd like to just go a little bit more in depth with what is happening here. So obviously, as we've seen before, this prints hello world to the console. If I click this play button up here, hello world will appear in the terminal down here. So I'm going to click it, and we see hello world down here. Perfect. I'm typing clear in the console to clear it out. So that was an example of output. That was the example of our Java program outputting text to the terminal. So that's happening using this system class. The system class exists in the Java Lang package. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth on what a package is and also what a class is later in this course. We'll talk about what a package is in a couple minutes here or so. But all you need to know is system is sort of like a class, or like a grouping of functionality or a blueprint that exists in a file somewhere else. Inside of that system class, we have this static field out. Out does not require you to instantiate a system object to use it. So out can be used just from the class. And inside of this out field, we have a print line method. And that print line method takes a string as a parameter, or as an argument. So this is basically how you would print out text to the terminal in Java. This can print out strings as well as numbers. So if we run this here, you can see it can print out numbers. It can print out Booleans, right? We're going to cover these data types later. You can see it prints out Booleans as well. Boolean is just a true or false value. Most of the time, for our purposes, we're going to be using just strings. So let's enter a string here. Awesome. So we have enter your name. This is essentially how you're going to be outputting things for the rest of this course. Okay, so let's talk about input now. Input is a little bit different than output. For input, you're going to need to instantiate an object or to create an object. And unlike this system class here, that object is not included in our starter code. So we'll need to import a package to help us with this. So now what I mean is we're going to need to create a scanner object. You can see we're getting a squiggly red line here, and the error says scanner cannot be resolved to a type. And that's because we don't have the package we need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll up and create a little bit of space here. And I'm going to import our java.util package. Honestly, I could probably just take in scanner. Cool. So you can see that squiggly red line went away here. So what this import is doing is in Java, there's a lot of external files containing classes and code and functionality called packages. When you start up your own small program, not all of the packages in the Java language are included because there's just too many. It would take too long to compile and you wouldn't use most of them. So this functionality has been broken up into small packages. This java.util package has a lot of different pieces of functionality. We only really want the scanner class, so we used the scanner subset of this package. So you can see that this import basically brings in this scanner class for us to use in our code. And so that's why if we don't have this, then this scanner type turns red. So I'm going to paste it back in, and you can see that the scanner type is now not red. So that's how you sort of import a package to be used in your Java class. Now we have to address this other error, which is that the scanner variable name has a squiggly red line under it too. And that's because it doesn't have we haven't ended this instruction with a semicolon. If we ended it with a semicolon, we would see this error go away, but we get another error saying it's not used. So let's instantiate this. So now you see the error moves over a little bit. I'm just going to finish this out and give it the argument that it wants. Okay, cool. So now we have our scanner type, our scanner variable name. And you can see that Java is case sensitive, so our types have capital letters beginning them, and our variable here has a lowercase one. Then we have our assignment operator, and here we have instantiated a scanner object. And to instantiate a scanner object, we need to pass in an input stream. This all might seem very technical, and if you're not absorbing all of it, that's not a problem. All you need to know is that this scanner object can take in input, and this is how we create it. We can get into the details later. So we have our scanner object, and it's ready to take in some text. Now we need a variable to hold the text. So for that, I'm going to create a string variable, and we will call this full name. And I'm not going to assign it a value. I'm going to do is after this enter your name print line, I am going to take full name, or I'm going to take my scanner variable, and I'm going to call next line on it. So what next line does is it receives text and places it into a variable. So here we have it receiving the text. We just need to place it into our full name variable. And we do that by assigning full name. We're assigning it to our scanner next line. So now what we want to do is I want to prove to you that the full name variable contains our actual full name. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a system.out.println, and I'm going to print out full name. Awesome. So I also want to print out, I'll say, your full name is, and then use full name here. This plus sign is doing string concatenation, which we'll talk about later. So I'm going to hit this play button, and we can see our program display in the terminal below. Let me create a little bit more space here. Hit play. It compiles. So we see it says enter your name. You can see me typing in my name here. Gonna hit enter. Your full name is Peter Grappentine. Perfect. So you can see here we have enter your name, which is this line here. Then we entered our name, which is this line here. And our text of Peter Grappentine got assigned to this full name variable. And then we printed out our full name variable along with a little bit more text here. So there you have it. This is basic input and output in Java. I hope this helps.